The meeting to order. Will you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all. Sandy, you need the microphone.
You said I wasn't doing anything.
No, we're just doing the roll call. I'll do roll call. I'll do it. Angela Unalt, President, here. Millie Roth, Vice President.
Present.
Kathy Krul, Secretary.
Here.
Patty Hopkins, Treasurer.
Present.
Sandy Adams, General Board Member. Tonight, if you have any questions later for Janice and or Sean McLean from Renaissance Downtowns is here today, we ask that you come to the mic stand and ask your questions there. No sidebar talking because we can't, it will not get picked up. CTV is recording and won't be able to get picked up. Again, also anybody on the board, we all need to have the microphone in our hands. With that, I would like to ask if you're ready. You don't have to. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. So today, Janice Shear from Southampton Town Planning and Development Administrator is here to talk about the sewer. Here. Yeah. There you go, my dear.
Thank you.
That's for you.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to see you all and to be here tonight. I'm just here to give you sort of a briefing on what's going on with that sewage treatment plant you keep hearing so much about, but don't know when it's ever going to actually happen. And so we've been hard at work trying to see how to enact this sewer district is a little more tricky than we initially thought. Part of the delay has really been figuring out all the pieces and the parts. There's a lot of moving parts to siting a large sewage treatment plant such as this and phasing it properly and putting in the infrastructure and then being like, wait a minute, we actually need, another piece of property and this isn't going to work, so those things have happened along the way, but I'm happy to say that our final piece of the puzzle, we just we were able to acquire, or we're on our way to acquiring, the Five-Town College piece. And if you're not familiar with that, it's right behind the Suffolk Credit Union, the bank. So right behind that is a big piece of property that used to have, it had like a tower on it. Five Towns College always used that piece, and that was an important, very, very important piece of the puzzle that we didn't know about early on, but it became more and more obvious as we tried to see. There's one thing to have a conceptual idea of something, and then there's another thing to start getting into the engineering of it all and start to, see that, wait a minute, this is pushed like this, and actually we need to rotate it. And if we did that, then now we're encroaching on this piece and that piece. And so we've been down that road. We figured all that out. We've rotated the plant now, and we're able to acquire. The town board has made an offer. Five Towns has accepted. We're getting to the point of closing. They're going to demolish the tower, whatever's left there, and that piece is critical because that's where all the leaching pools will go. And initially, early in this whole thing, we thought, hey, we'll make this constructed wetland, and the piece will be up across 24, and you may have heard the name Shumeda talked about, and we went and we bought that piece, and DEC was like, yeah, no, not so keen on us doing it that way. So we had to rethink it. So there's a lot of things that go on the day-to-day about this that take some time and effort, but I'm happy to say that we're almost there. Like, we got our piece. We've got it designed. Our next goal, our milestone next, is to get to a 60% engineering design. Now, this is important because initially we had a conceptual engineering design done, and EFC, which is the Environmental Facilities Corporation, that's a state agency that's actually like a lending arm of the state, and they make things possible so that you don't have to put things on your own sort of balance sheets. They give you loans, and then when you get grants, you can use those to pay the loans. So it's a very good system. And the EFC, because this is Riverside and the area has a lot of low income and some environmental justice areas, they allowed us to participate in a new process where they said, okay, if you participate in this, you can get a 30-year financing at 0% interest, which is huge. So we did. Of course, we would jump on that and say, great. And they call this value engineering. And what they did was the state paid to have a second party, unaffiliated expert, look at our plan and tell us whether it was good or bad or right or wrong, which to me was amazing because I'm not an engineer. So I was like, yay, somebody else can look at this and tell us that this is right. And they did. And we went through this whole value engineering process with them, where this group called Arcadis came, and they looked at everything. They came out here. They measured things. They looked at the topography. They looked at all of our data. They met with all the agencies, and they talked to everyone, and they looked at all of our stuff. And they made very specific recommendations to us. And they said, you need to look at these things. And if you agree to look at them, then you'll get that 0% financing for 30 years. So we said, of course we agree to look at it. We want this to be right. So we did, and that's the basis of our what we're calling, it's a supplemental environmental impact statement. It's a shorter process, but it follows the same type that you may be aware of. And in this supplemental impact statement, we look at what they told us to look at. So they said, first thing they said to us was, rethink why you're even doing this. Why don't you just go hook up to Riverhead's sewage treatment plant? That was first. Rethink, reevaluate, why do you even want to do this? You should just go hook up to Riverhead. So we went to Riverhead and we said, hey, Riverhead, can we hook up to you? And they were like, no, you can't. Because as you may know, Riverhead has their own plans, especially for revitalizing around the train station and other development plans that they have downtown. And so they said no. So we had meetings with them, we have documentation, so that we put that in our report. Then they said, they were the beginnings of, are you sure you're allowed to do this with that constructed wetland up on the north side? Because we want to hear what DEC has to say about that. So we had tons of meetings with DEC and came to find that they weren't really that thrilled about it. They would rather see us move where you're going to de-water, let's say, the plant, not out, the effluent will go into injection wells on the property where the STP is, not across the road, which saves us almost close to like $1.5 million. So that's a good thing. So we said, okay, but that required us to buy this 5 towns piece. So we did that. So now, we've run down every one of these, and there's a lot, and I won't bore you with all the rest of them, but you will see them in our report, everything they told us to do and everything we did. And then now we're kicking off that environmental review process. And this will also suffice for the federal review process so that we're in line. And the good news is, as we were doing all this, we're also applying for every grant we see. So we did get $5 million as a congressional appropriation, and that was a big deal for us. And we, thank you. And we got $250,000, $250,000 from the Suffolk County, and we did apply for $10 million from the state, and that was our biggie, and we were declined. And it wasn't because of us; it was because mostly no Long Island communities really got any money that election cycle, and it's, potentially the governor was really trying to beef up like upstate projects and things along those lines. But we had a debrief with that state agency, the Water Quality Committee, to see where we were deficient, maybe we could do better. They gave us some feedback, and we'll be reapplying this round. So, so we line ourselves up for every grant we can think of. We put it out there. We also just recently applied for the CPF water quality for $7 million. The CPF, the town board, has been very supportive, and they gave us CPF funding already where I created a capital project. I was able to get our consultants in line, we were able to pay for these acquisitions and all the survey work, easements, all the things that go into this are a lot. But we've been doing that. And then Arcadis, that third-party value engineering company, will come back in at that 60% design, that's our next sort of goal, and reevaluate and make sure that and they do this to make sure that we're not wasteful or using public dollars in a way that's not appropriate. And so they keep us making sure that everything that we say is of high quality and good value for the public dollar that is being spent. I'm just trying to think what else. We split this project into 2 phases. I don't know if anybody is aware of that, just to make it easier. And we also have been really conscious of the fact that it's been very difficult to figure out how we're not going to go over any thresholds for the basic resident to have to pay, and it was a big objective of the town board to not make this financially burdensome for anybody that already lives here. So even though the state comptroller says $700 a year is the normal price, if you don't go above that, you're good. We've been trying to keep that down to like $100 a year, something real low, and tier it so that a single family home isn't the same thing as like a multifamily building or a commercial business. So to have that, a different pricing schedule is our objective. And to do that, our previous comptroller has been helping us because he's an accounting whiz, and excuse me, he reached out to a bond counsel, that deals with these special districts, because we were having a hard time. We were always in a catch-22. Like, how do you enact the district when you have to say that it's not going to cost this, but, it was like we couldn't prove it out. And it's the best way I could put it. And so he reached out to some incredible attorneys that have seasoned professionals who understood this, and they figured out that there's a mechanism under town law, Article 12C, that we've never used before, that we can avail ourselves to as a town, which allows us to potentially dedicate money as a capital improvement district, spread that cost out to a wider area, and then once it's built, turn it over to the sewer district. So it makes a little more sense, and it evens that cost out, and everybody wins by having a healthy and clean Peconic Bay and estuary system. So that's our next goal, is to come to the town board to talk about that and how that would work. But we are very confident that that's the right answer, and we're so happy that we figured that out, because this was like a major problem, and Sean could attest to the fact that we were going around and around in circles on trying to how to figure that out. And then the other things that are super easy are just about getting small easements for pump stations. We're working with the DOT. They're going to give us an easement to put a pump station at that recharge up on the north side of 24, and a couple of other small property owners are giving us some easements. And then the last regulatory burden and hurdle that we have to go through is that when we said, okay, we're going to do this 5 towns piece, and we're going to put the wells here, we did all the calculations and figured out that we need a hardship permit from the from the Pine Barrens Commission, because we're always in somebody's regulatory jurisdiction here, and that's why it's always been so hard to redevelop in this location. But I've been working with the Pine Barrens. I just had a Pine Barrens community meeting today. I am a designated representative for the supervisor there, so we are, always talking to them about how to accomplish this, and I think I have a good solution that they'll be happy with, as far as us doing a little more preservation and then being able to exchange some uncleared land for the cleared land that we need at the STP site. So Yeah, that's what I have. If you have any questions for me, let me know and I'll do my best to answer them for you.
So Janice.
It's got a big tail. It's got a big tail. You should go under.
Yeah.
Here, let me hand it to you.
Why doesn't Rick just ask you questions?
Okay. That's too easy, that's why.
The mic reaches. First question we always get is cost. So can you give us an estimate on the cost, and can you compare that to like West Hampton Village? You know, they were able to hook into a present sewage treatment plant. You know, like what would the cost and how big a deal is this?
These costs are probably in the neighborhood of $35 million, upwards of 42, but we broke it into two phases to make it more palatable. But there's that economy of scale where there's just a level of, it's just going to cost you, whether it's half the amount or double the amount, it's still going to cost you. So, yeah, it's a bigger cost than West Hampton because all they had to do was just hook up a pipe down the road, you know, then get to Gabreski Airport and some pump stations. And then, but for us, we're literally putting in all the infrastructure and the plant itself. And we've broken that down because of the fact that in grant world, you're able to say, this is the conveyance system and this is the treatment system. You're able to break it into two things, which is good for us. We want to do that so you'll notice resolutions talking about conveyance, and that's the pipes, and then talking about the actual, you know, machinery is a different cost. But we worked with, and as you know, the board granted West Hampton Beach the CPF money to be able to do that, and you're doing the same thing here. Oh, nice.
I have two questions. First of all, thank you for being here, and that was a lot of information, I thought. Good information and good news. First of all, would you explain an easement? You said that some of the monies went to getting an easement, you know, like, what is this thing?
Oh, what is an easement?
Yeah.
An easement is an interest in real property. So if I want to let you drive back and forth. Oh, thank you. If I wanted to let you drive back and forth across my property, I would have to grant you an easement.
And in this case, it would be a waistline or
Yeah, in this
something
case, it's a utility line. And so we need to get across properties that aren't necessarily in the road. Most of it is in the road, on the side of the road. You know, they'll open up the road, they'll put the pipe. You see this all the time with gas lines and everything else. They're just going to put that pipe and they're going to cover it back up and make it look just as it did or better. But in certain cases, we have to cross private property. And in those cases, we'll literally purchase easements. And that is a dedicated right of, you know, access to maintain it. You know, there may be a manhole. There's a way to get to whatever's underneath that roadway, you know, a pipe. So if anything happens, we can get to it. And that's really just the town has an interest now in that property. The public suddenly has an interest, and we lay that out on a survey and describe it with meets and bounds, so it's very clear.
Thank you. Incredibly important for a project like this, various easements.
It's, you know, and that's a new thing that we have some survey work to do. In addition, that's coming up now. It's becoming more and more important to get that right. So we're drilling, we're getting more and more granular and being able to say, well, we need this easement and it's this.
A decade ago, the community and you worked on the Riverside revitalization, the overlay district that
Yes.
is here. How does this effort, the sewer district, how does that help the efforts of the Riverside redevelopment concept?
Right. Well, the Riverside Revitalization Action Plan, is predicated on the sewage treatment because that was the whole thing about why there could be no new development, is because there's no way to treat the, you know, sanitary waste. The IA systems didn't give you that enough density for anybody to really see it as a true investment. You know what I mean? Whereas, so this plan allowed for additional density, but of course, doing it in phases helps us phase in and sort of absorb that and see how it goes before you just go all in And it kind of is a little checkpoint too. It's a bit of a check and balance, even though it just helps us into more than one way to build, because you can build these, the treatment plant can be built in modules. So we put the first 2 modules in, allow for the development, and this is important. It's not just new development, it's existing development that gets hooked up, half and half. So it'll be just half the existing and half for the new.
So this system will handle the concepts that were on the renderings that the community worked on? And
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have a couple of projects waiting to come in, waiting predicated on, hoping the sewage treatment happens. So we have a lot of people, a lot of interest, activity, investment, and everyone's sort of just waiting to, when are we going to get this so that we can put in our development plans.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Question.
Sure.
In the beginning, it was being told that the people in Riverside would be hooked up for free. Now, was it just, I didn't, oh. In the beginning, it was told that the people in Riverside, so far, in the beginning of this, are the only ones that will be hooked up to this, and they would be hooked up for free. So now I'm understanding they get hooked up for free, but they can cost them $100 or more per year to use it. All right, because that's something I don't think a lot of people understood.
Initially, there was a lot of talk about it should be free and no one's paying anything, but when it comes to like the legal technicalities of things, we can't just, it has to be a benefit. It's called ad valorem, and it's got to be a benefit to everyone equally benefits. So that was one of our problems. CPF is able to pay for the existing development to be hooked up. So that is true. The user fees, we're going to structure it so that if you're a single-family house, you have a very low fee versus a multifamily building. So we'll tier it so that it's not going to be a lot of user fee. But anybody who hooks up to a sanitary system, the way that the law works is, you have to pay for it. It's like a usage charge. So we can't get around that. But if you're very low income, we've been talking about creating like a grant program to like rebate or reimburse people to help.
And eventually it will be brought into Flanders also.
I don't know about that.
Okay, because we were told one of the things they wanted was to have it eventually come this way and then possibly into Hampton Bays.
I don't think that the same sewer system would be in all those 3 places. Hampton Bays would have their own.
Okay.
Flanders, there's already been a feasibility study. Another like small, maybe we can connect Flanders to this. That would be the best bet. But this is really just this area right now.
Okay.
And then, I hope I'll be retired and not have to extend it. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, there's ideally we want to hook everybody up and have clean water. That's the idea.
Yeah.
So.
Do you have a timeline for how, am I going to be alive to see this?
I surely hope so. So right now we're in this SECRA, which is the environmental review process. We're re-upping our plan for, the funding to always keep that 0% 30-year loan. We've got that locked up, so we want to keep that there. We're going to complete our environmental assessment, get our hardship permit from the from the Pine Barrens, get approvals from the EFC and DEC, and then we can go out to bid to build it.
But in reality, is this going to be 10 years?
I really hope not. I mean, we were hoping like a year last year, and now I'm here saying another year. It does, we move at the speed of government. I'm dealing with mega bureaucracies, so it's not just our government. But I hate saying dates, because then when we blow the date, then it's like, oh, you didn't deliver. So I'd rather under promise and over deliver. But I really hope that we can get this like underway within this next year, and that we're out to bid by next year. That's the goal. But we're working toward it. I can assure you, we're working very hard to make that happen.
Just take good care of yourself.
Anybody else have questions?
Question in the back. He's going to come up to the microphone. He's coming up.
Oh, good.
Sure you can hear me. My only question is,
Yeah, but they.
Yeah, go to the microphone.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, how are you?
What is the plan in place to operate when you are up and running? Are you creating a sewer district that the town is going to take control of and have a sewer department?
It's a municipal district, but the town can contract out. So the town can either give it to the county to run, or we can have a private operator. We can bid it out and just have a
But
private
That
operator.
decision hasn't been made yet?
Not really. I don't think we're going to have our own municipal district. I think that we'll just contract out one way or another, either the county or a private sewer operator.
And
But
would-
I don't think we're going to create like a new arm of public works like the county has. That I don't see that
But
happening.
the town would collect the taxes on it? It would be a taxable district?
Oh,
through the
yeah,
town.
oh,
You
yeah.
would pay to the town.
That's right.
So you would then be able to vote on,
Yes. At first, it'll be a capital improvement project in a discrete area so that we can spread that cost out to a greater area. Then it will just be within creation of a sewer district. And then that district, 51% of the votes carries the day, as you probably heard Kathleen Murray say. And that means that 51% of the people within that district have to vote affirmatively in order to, because it is a taxing district.
it's a taxing district.
Yeah.
And then you would choose a third party, or it wouldn't not be the town.
These are the people that you would ask that question
Right.
to. I
Right.
can't see
Thank
that
you.
happening, but then again, anything is possible. Sure.
Anybody else? Any questions?
Oh, good. That's not bad.
Anybody on board with any questions?
Does anyone have? Yeah, so we'll be back with a work session to the town board about this, about that capital improvement district and the town law Article 12C. That'll be coming up soon. And then you'll be seeing resolution after resolution about, we coordinated lead agency. The town board will become lead agency. We'll be making applications for various things. And so as you're looking at those town board agendas, you'll be seeing more frequently resolutions, because now we're like properly underway. We have our data and all the things we've been working towards to wrap this thing up. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So in the beginning, I did not thank and welcome Tommy John, Rick Martell, and Cindy McNamara. Thank you all three for being here today.
Tough to get three of us in one.
I know.
We locked the door.
And again, I'd like to thank Janice for taking the time today to bring us all up to speed as to what has been happening. Are we going to stop recording now? Okay. We're going to continue the regular meeting.